We do have one presentation today, and these items, they do not require action from the board, but are informative both for the board and for the public. And this is an opportunity for the public to hear what each department within Mesa County is responsible for and what they're working on. This week for department overview, we have the treasurer and public trustee, Sheila Reiner. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I cherish these times when we can address the public with what our office is doing. The treasurer is not a very high profile office. We collect taxes, then we turn around and distribute those taxes to and other revenues to the other jurisdictions in our community. We do mobile home authentications and move permits. We reconcile all of the bank accounts that the county has. We deposit for some of the other county departments, and then we monitor those that deposit directly. We conduct a tax lien sale every fall for unpaid taxes. We invest the county's money and maintain the county's portfolio. We process foreclosures and release of deeds of trust whenever there is a transaction that happens on someone's property. The property tax process in general flows through the assessor's office. The assessor assesses the values of our parcels. Districts that are in each jurisdiction submit budgets to us. The mill levy is then certified, usually in December, unless there's legislation that mucks it up. Specials are applied, and specials are allowed by law when a jurisdiction has, for instance, a past due utility on a property. We get quite a few from the city of Grand Junction, city of Fruita, those sorts of things. Those by law can be appended to someone's tax bill for the following year. The tax roll then is imported into the treasurer's system and notices are generated. Some common questions that we hit are that people are a little bit confused because it will say on the top of the tax bill for this year, 2023 taxes payable in 2024. We're always collecting for the year prior. And so when there are real estate transactions, it's not uncommon for the new owner to say, hey, the old owner ought to pay that. But it usually is taken care of in closing documents, and one party will see a credit for a portion of the property tax for the year is estimated, and then the new owner is responsible. So that's a common question that we get. You can get your tax bills emailed and mailed, or emailed rather than being mailed. That is a feature that's allowable by law. So if anybody wants to get them electronically, just contact our office. And the other thing I'll say about tax bills is sometimes they don't make it through the mail. And oftentimes that's because people don't think about updating their address. I would love to live in a world where you could update your address with one entity and it would spread to all, but that's not how it works with government. You have to update your information for your ballot to make it to you. You also have to update your information with the assessor if you want your tax bill to make it to you. So just a point of clarification. I looked back at the collection rates for today's presentation, and currently we're sitting at 94.15% collected. It's a little better than past years, but really not out of the norm. So not a whole lot exciting there, but that is something that I monitor each month and just verify that we're on track. We recently sent out delinquent bills, which generated a good amount of traffic. And we've done probably about 40% collection on those that we mailed out at the first of the month. Property tax distribution looks like this for us. The county keeps a very small amount of the dollars that we collect. So in this graph, 13%, and it'll vary between 13 and 15% depending on the month. The majority of our property tax goes to the school district, and that's not to say that the school district's budget is inflated in any way. It's just the way that it breaks out. We recently had a conversation with the school district who said, hey, your graph makes it look like we're rolling in the dough. But honestly, we can't say what their budgets look like or what their expenditures look like, but I can see from my side that the majority of the tax we distribute goes to school districts. We have a little over 4,000 active mobile home accounts in Mesa County, which is a little higher than other counties. We're one of the first counties that are called when there's mobile home legislation because we have a decent amount. We had a couple of legislative items pass through the legislature that affected mobile homes. In 2022, we had an exemption come through for mobiles that are less than 28,000 in value, in actual value, and that's set by the assessor. So many of our mobile homeowners aren't even getting a tax bill anymore. And so that has caused some confusion too. We are still getting people coming up to the counter saying, well, I didn't get my bill. And we look and it's because they're now exempt. The other part was Senate Bill 24-183. This is a direct effect of the Tyler v. Hennepin Supreme Court case that we saw last year. And it says that the county cannot take property for more than it's worth, and mobile homes were in the mix. Or I'm sorry, the county can't take homes for less than their worth, or property in general. And mobile homes were in the mix. So this act suspends our ability to put them through a tax lien sale and create a tax lien against them. It also creates a task force that's going to look at the entirety of the mobile home process in the state of Colorado and rework the way we tax them. So that'll be something to keep our eye on this next legislative season. And then on to the tax lien sale. If taxes are not paid, then they're sold at the tax lien sale each fall. Investors pay for the taxes for 3 years, and if the owner does not pay off the lien with the interest that's due to the investor, they can apply for a treasurer's deed. What's new, also as a result of the Tyler v. Hennepin, is that we will now have to go to public auction with these properties. So investors that have held their tax lien for 3 years and apply for the option of a treasurer's deed, which is the new term that we're going to start using, will kick off a scenario that's sort of close to a foreclosure auction. But in the end, what we're doing is we're putting up for public auction a tax deed, and the opening bid is what the investors got in it, along with any treasurer's fees or costs that we've incurred along the way. And that'll be the opening bid. And then a third-party bidder can win it. After that happens, the tax lien holder is the sole person that can buy out that third-person bidder so that we could somehow maintain the ability for our investors to still gain something in the end. So if they really want the property, they can buy out the third bidder. If nobody bids, it goes to the lien holder. And there's a process also on the back end where people who, like, for instance, might have a mechanic's lien on a property can apply for any overbid funds that we end up with. And then in the very end, if there are overbid funds left, we give them back to the owner or their heirs. So it's a pretty complicated process coming at us. We will learn as we go, there's no doubt. We've had 2 counties so far already hold tax lien. Well, I think the proper term would be tax deed auction already this month. So we'll have our first one, we think, in August if it doesn't get redeemed. Future legislation that the treasurers are looking at, there was, I wish Cody was here for this conversation because he was right in the mix of it with the property tax reform, but flexibility on payment dates are something that the constituents want, I think, to see, especially those that own businesses. On the treasurer side of things, we will have to completely rework our calendar if we're still not getting all of our payments in the first 6 months. Currently, people can choose between 2 options. They can pay half in February and half in June, or they can pay the whole amount by April. If we went to a model where we were taking in payments January, February, March, April, May, and June, or February, March, April, May, June, July, we could probably still make our calendar work for the rest of our processes. The other thing to consider on that is cash flow. The districts have their budget built on getting the majority of their funds the first half of each year. And in a school district, their fiscal year starts July 1st and ends June 30th. So it would be a big impact on the districts that we distribute to as well. We'll have a tax reform puzzle again this fall. We have something that passed through the legislature that will stand if one or both of two measures that might be on our ballot don't pass. So again, we'll be going into the end of this year. People are asking us, what do our taxes look like next year? And we don't know yet. And we won't know till the 11th hour again. We have some cleanup legislation I know the treasurers would like to have because of the complexity of the Tyler v. Hennepin reform. We have some very low value properties in the mix that, like, the taxes on them are $5 per year, especially for a non-producing severed mineral. Those are all included in this new process that we have to take clear through public auction. So those are some of the things we're going to want to try to get out of that legislation. Here's a snapshot of the budgets that I am responsible for. The blue line is revenue in this treasurer's budget. We do collect a good number of fees, and we also collect fees for the distributions that we do for the districts, and that's the majority of what makes up that revenue. And then in the public trustee budget, there's just yellow and red lines. The red line is the revenue to the county. It's a much smaller department, a much smaller function, and we collect less fees. We will collect more fees in the future. We had a bill passed for our PT fees this legislative season that's going to double our fees for processing of foreclosures. So those little lines on the public trustee side might double next year, depending on what the economy does. Because if interest rates lower, we'll see a lot more release of deeds of trust, which are a big revenue source for us in good years, like you could see in 2020 when the interest was very low. And then also the economics drive foreclosures. So I kind of already hit this slide, but this is a link to our website if people are interested in bidding in the foreclosure or want to know more about our process. The website has a lot of information on it. And here's a slide I like to show, but because this is the foreclosure activity in Mesa County. And so you can see how it flows with the economy and the cycles that we go through. And that is all I have for you guys. Do you have any questions for me? I don't, but thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.